All right. We trippy, man. Shout out to y'all. Thanks for watching. You are not watching Juke Boy Sports Show. I am your host, Kyng Ralph, here for another good episode. Dolo. I am looking for a co-host. So if you're rocking with your boy, interested in being on the show, hit me up, DM me, email, comment, say you're interested, let a brother know. We need those engagements. I appreciate you. But before we get started, I gotta send a shout out to the sponsor. So if you're looking for a podcast, to do a podcast like what you're watching, call the number on the bottom of the screen, 707 Fit Boxer. And if you're looking for a clean, no crash energy drink, get on your iPhone, your Samsung, your Android, laptop, computer, all that, going DUBBY.com, W.com. Use promo code JUKE. We're going to get you right with 20% off. And while you're here, subscribe. Subscribe at Juke Network on YouTube. Help us get to we're approaching 100 subscribers. That's the next goal, and then we build from there, y'all. I'm close on that one. Make sure I'm trying to get to 100 followers on Facebook. So if you get the opportunity, use Juke Network as well to follow us over there. Once I get everything going, once I get to about 100 followers, I'll be able to take everything from the He Say She Say channel over to Juke Network. Follow me at KYNG RALPH on TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, at an _ for X or Twitter. And then you can listen to us I drop new episodes every Wednesday at 10 a.m. I might do it a little earlier for my people on the East Coast, but 10 a.m. Pacific time, anywhere that you can catch your podcast. And so let's get to it. And so Florida was a big game last night. Florida goes up against Houston. And man, I had Houston going into it. I had Florida playing Houston in the championship game. I picked the game right. Houston let me down in the end, and Florida comes out the victor. And so leads you to the question, who did Houston sell the bag, or did Florida deserve some credit? Put some respect on their name, huh? I think it's a little bit of both, honestly. I think that it's a very Switzerland thing to do, I guess. But I do think that you can't have one without the other. Yeah, I get it. Ryan Clark made a good point on first take. You can't give Houston credit for beating Duke and then take that away from Florida for the sake of giving it to Houston, selling the bag. But I do think that a little bit of both had to happen. Houston had the game in their control. Last four possessions, they don't even get a single shot up. In the final possession, when you read it the most, they didn't even get a shot up. Turnover, game's over. And I get it, lack of execution, no shot attempts. You have the lead. Anything can happen if you can get the ball to the rim. But in the end, I do think Florida staying poised, composed, and even without their two best players dominating the game, played decent games with Clayton and Martin. I think that they both had decent games. They affected the game away. Clayton more so from a passing standpoint. He did hit some tough shots, 3-point play, 3-pointer coming off the screen, and in the end, Florida just slow and steady won the race, and eventually they were able to come back from 12 points and get the victory. And that's the thing for me, is like the thing I love about basketball is in sports is you can fall behind early, but the game itself is this long. You can catch them on the back end and be able to get the victory. And so shout out to Florida. They did their thing. I hated to see it because I did. This does ruin my bracket. Both my brackets was busted. My women's bracket, I'm going to talk about the final of that in a second. Sheesh, you two, quit talking, man. What you own? Why? Ain't nobody press nothing. What's going on? But, let's just turn the TV off altogether. Drop the shit. But in the end, I do think that Florida deserves some credit. Give it to them. So shouts out to them. Youngest coach. I forget my man's name though, but he is the youngest coach to win a title at 39. My man's a couple years older than me. Winning national championships as coaches. That's crazy, right? And so next up, OKC. Let's check. It was beating the brakes off the Lakers the last time I looked. Let's see if they still are. Mm-hmm. Yep. So OKC, after getting shellacked earlier in the week or last week, OKC comes back, beats the Lakers tonight, 136 to 120. So should the OKC be favored to get to the finals? And I think yes, they should. I feel like I get it. Until you've been there, you don't know what to do when you get there. But I do think they were a really good team last year. They lose to Luka and Kyrie and the Mavs. This year, they're 64 and 14. They're 12 games better than the second seed, which is the Houston Rockets. Having SGA, Jalen Williams, Chet, Hartenstein, Isaiah Joe, Wiggins, Lou Dort, Casey Wallace. I just feel like in the end, they're just going to be too deep of a team. And SGA, like on a mission, I feel like he can match anyone's best player's output. Now, this is where I think that the rest of the team is rounded enough to where if you run up against Luka and the Lakers, he can match Luka. And between Jalen Williams, Wiggins, Dort, and Chet, I didn't even mention Caruso. I feel like they have enough to be able to best LeBron and the rest of the cast. Their three best players, I think, in the end, can play better than the three best players. Now, were the rest of the team, and I do think that the rest of the team through the rest of the roster is where I think that the Thunder will be able to make that much of a difference, which is why I honestly think that the Thunder could beat the Lakers in 5. I know Shannon Sharp is out here, Lakers in 5, but no, I don't see it happening. If they do beat the Thunder, which I don't think they will, I feel like it's one of those things where they're going to do it in 6 or 7 games. It's not going to be a clean gentleman type thing. I think that the Oklahoma City Thunder are not getting the respect that they deserve. I think that, I think that sometimes we don't give people credit. Like the Boston Celtics, yeah, they had got to certain places. They got to the finals, but people had them beating the Warriors, and then the Warriors just happened to get a victory. So when they went back again, I get it why it's like, well, they've been here before. Also with the pain of defeat. We see it all through sports history where players or teams will get to a certain place and they just don't know what to do when they get there. They lose. The next year they get there, they win, and then finally, like the Blackhawks, before they finally were able to create that dynasty, I think it was like in the 2000s, early 2010s, they were getting further and further in the playoffs to the point where they finally won the Stanley Cup. I just think that where they were last year, the team that they have this year, they got to last year, I think they'll be able to at least get to the finals. Now, depending on who they play, matchup wise, that's where things can be more of a conversation. But I think in the West, if it's not the Nuggets, and they just fired their coach, I'm gonna get into that in a second. If it ain't I don't see the Lakers, man. I just don't. I don't think that they have enough on that team. And I'm not just gonna be like, oh, we're gonna give it to them. I think if anybody I'm not taking that serious is they got to show me is the Rockets. I do think that they have a hell of a coach. They have some good young players. This is a team that I would understand questioning how far they can go based on the age of the team. They do have some vets on that team, but I just don't think that they have enough from their best players. I don't think their best players are the vets where they can pretty much get to that promised land. I just don't see it happening. Now, that's a team that I don't can beat the Thunder or beat the Lakers. They got to show me. And so Where we at? Initially, I was going to talk about my NFL draft rankings, but I think I'm going to wait this weekend and drop just like one whole video of just talking about offense or in one whole video where I'm talking about defense. But I'm trying to figure it out. I got like 4 shows I can do before the draft happens. So I might just break it down into inside, outside, all alignment one week, defensive alignment the next week, then talk about offensive like skill position players, and then talk about defense where it's like the cornerbacks, safeties, linebackers type of thing. But next up, yeah. Oh, did I put it on here? Dang, I don't think I put it on here. Ralph, you tripping. Let's add it. Let's edit. So Paige Beckers and the UConn Huskies finally get the dub. They victory, win the women's bracket. And so Paige has all the accolades that you could figure. Never had a ring, didn't cut down the nets. So where would you rank Paige among the greats, the UConn greats? And for me, I think that I would put her right about, I would go right about 2 or 3. I'd probably put her at 3, honestly. I think Stewie and what Stewie did all 4 years that she was there. I think that Maya Moore, what she did all with I think that she was there for 3 to 4 years. I think you'd have to be there for 4 years. So I do think Maya Moore, what she did while she was there, Stewie while they were there. I don't think that Paige from an individual standpoint is a phenomenal player. Definitely no argument is top 3. Just depends on where you got her. But I think anything less than that, you're just hating. And I think that she's at a trajectory of which she could easily be one of the best players in the W within the next couple of years, and it's definitely going to be, could end up being a rival to a Caitlin Clark. But I just think that like Anna Stewart, all 4 years she won a title at UConn. Then Maya Moore comes right behind her. Like looking at Stewie's numbers, 3-time All AAC, 2-time Wooden Player of the Year, 4-time, 3-time AP Player of the Year, 4-time All Tournament Team, 5-time NCAA champion. Like those are things for me that like, yeah, Paige did her thing, but she's not. She wasn't able to accomplish the things that they were able to accomplish. Like even Maya Moore, 2-time champion, 2-time Player of the Year, 2-time Wooden Player of the Year. They were part of the Big East. 4-time All Big East. 3-time Big East Player of the Year. Average 19.7, 8 rebounds and 4 assists. And I think that if we just look at Paige Beckers and what they were able to do with, they had not got injured and tore their ACL, they pretty much lost 2 years. 2 years, to the point where they needed to play this extra year to be able to fulfill everything that they needed to do. The trajectory that she was on was the same as a Breanna Stewart or a Maya Moore. I just feel like the injury robbed her of a little bit that puts her in a position where I think she's a little bit less than Maya Moore, where I would put Breanna Stewart. I think from an individual player standpoint, I think that Maya Moore is the best player of the 3, but you can't deny Breanna Stewart the winning that she did while she was at UConn and the skill set that she possessed at that school in the defensive threat while also being an offensive threat from everywhere on the court. And so I think Paige is definitely that number at 3 for me. Let me know what you think. Where would you put her among the UConn greats? I think definitely nothing less than 3, though. And so, with the rest of the time we got left, going over some fast break joints. And so, this thing, and it really got me thinking about it. Was Mike Vick before his time? And if you really think about it, Mike Vick came to a time period where the quarterback was not really running like that. We had the Randall Cunninghams, we had the Steve Youngs, the Donovan McNabbs. Then Mike Vick comes and he rushed for 1,000 yards in a season, which is like unheard of from a quarterback standpoint. After that, end up getting the Vince Youngs, we get the Cam Newtons, Deshaun Watsons, and now we're where we are today with the running quarterback, where Shedeur Sanders is being judged based on his inability to scramble. And that's the part that's wild. Oh, he don't run a 4.6. It's like, but like if you go through the top 10 quarterbacks, how many of them ran 4.6s? None of them. Like, depending on where you have Steve Young, I think Steve Young might be the fastest of the top 10 quarterbacks. But that's even due, or John Elway. I think John Elway might be the fastest. Maybe it's Steve Young. It depends. But I do think that conversation that needs to be had, in which evolution of the sport, or the sport, the game, and the quarterback position, where I looked it up, because then when you really think about it and you go through his highlights, how many of those were designed runs where Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, they're getting runs designed for them with the sole purpose of them running the football up the field. And that's the part where I think that we got to have a conversation of Michael Vick and not take away from his greatness, because we always, not with the Lamar Jackson, his success is like, oh, who would you take, Lamar or Michael Vick? Lamar Jackson had 265 design runs throughout his career, and he's ran for over 6,100 yards at 6,173 yards. Michael Vick had 49 design runs in his career, out of with 6,109 yards on the ground. And so these are the things that I don't think that we look at, where like the success that Mike Vick could have in this era, even if you just took his same skill set, put it in this era with the style of offense that are being run, I believe he would have so much more success, because throughout history, I think that when you look at the running quarterback, one of the things I've always disliked, and if you go through a Donovan McNabb's wide receivers were not that great. They always had some all right wide receivers, a solid running back, and a solid tight end. Big had Algie Crumpler, Cam Newton had Greg Olsen, and McNabb had Brent Selleck for a lot of his career. Then eventually he gets to, you see what happens. You see Josh Allen's career once he got a Stephon Diggs. Every quarterback needs a player on the team that's going to go out there and ball out, and a wide receiver that when it all comes down to it, I can throw it up. He gonna take care of it. And that's the part of, like, when you got the running quarterback, a lot of running quarterbacks don't get the top wide receivers. It's only until the last couple of years that Lamar Jackson started getting help. We saw what Josh Allen's career looks like when he got Stephon Diggs, and now he's turned into where he can do more with scraps. We're looking at Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts' whole trajectory, he did a complete 180 once he got A.J. Brown. Already had Smitty. They get Saquon Barkley in the backfield. Now they're going to the Super Bowl. And I think that I don't think they get to that Super Bowl without Saquon. And so I think that giving a quarterback weapons is a necessity. But I feel like too often with the running quarterback, they're able to plug up certain tools that they don't build the team in a way that you should build a team. And so Michael Vick, in style of offense where he has, you see what he was able to do when he got with the Eagles. Jeremy Maclin, D-Jack, LaShawn McCoy, And it's like you saw what he was able to do. If he had that for his prime in that style of offense for a long period of time, we would be looking at a different Michael Vick when it comes to his accolades, what he was able to do with his career. I'm not excusing the dogfighting part of it, but if I'm strictly talking football here, that is irrelevant. And so Shedeur Sanders they're talking about him sliding in this draft. He has been sliding reportedly, allegedly. But should he be a top 5 pick? I think if we're talking strictly football, I do believe he's a top 5 pick. I think that once you get past the Abdul Carter, you get past a what's my man's name? Travis Hunter, you get past I think from a football standpoint, I would be comfortable putting him at 4, maybe 5, depending on another player. So far through my scouting process, I'm pretty much toward the end of it. I don't see a person that is a better football player than him. I definitely have him at quarterback 1. I do understand what people mean when they start talking about Cam Ward and his ceiling. I do believe that Cam Ward's ceiling is better. I do believe that Shedeur is a better quarterback. I think that his ability to move in the pocket, extend plays is very underrated. I think he has a more accurate arm, can read defenses better, and is more so thinking from a cerebral standpoint than I think that Cam Ward reminds me a lot of Caleb Williams, where he's trying to extend the play so much that he's going to find himself in a compromising position too often, to where right now I think that Shedeur is a better quarterback. Now, the weapons and the things that can't be taught from a Cam Ward standpoint is where I understand why people would take Cam Ward over him. But I still believe that everything else that I mentioned, his accuracy, what he was able to do at Jackson State versus what Jackson State was before he got there, what he was able to do at Colorado before Colorado, what Colorado was before he got there, what he turned it into when he's leaving. I feel like everything that he has, where's a report of him throwing his offensive line under the bus as much as he was sacked, especially the first year in Colorado? He never did. I feel like from a leadership standpoint, you're getting a kid with good character. Yeah, is he cocky? I feel like in order to get here, you got to be. But, or at least got to have some kind of confidence. Like, I think that from a quarterback position, it's better to have that type of confidence, because you have to pretty much get 51, there's 52-man rosters. You got to get 51 other grown-ass men to believe that you can lead them to the promised land. You got to have that, hey, guys, I got us. We straight type of mentality. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I feel like, and I was telling Dad earlier, when Arch Manning gets to the point where he's going into the draft, pay attention to how they speak about him, because I don't think he gets this same treatment that Shedeur is getting. And so far, I don't see much from Arch that I would say that he's this much better prospect than Shedeur, me personally. And so Ja Morant gets not fired, but fined. I'm going to talk about Mike Malone after this, getting fired. Ja Morant gets fined for the hand, the finger guns and all of that. Should he feel slighted? I think if I'm him, I completely understand why you would feel him getting fined. What's my man, Dyson Daniels from Atlanta? Every time he makes a 3 on the sideline, he's pointing guns at people, at people's benches. There's so many different people that's doing all types of different guns and all types of stuff. And I feel like Ja Morant, because of the issues in which he suspended for. I think these are the reasons why we are where we are when it comes to why he got found. The optics of it is why it's like, bruh, you got suspended for a lengthy amount of time because you was really out here listening to NBA YoungBoy with real guns in your hand. And supposedly you pulled a gun on a teenager that you got into an altercation with that was hooping in your backyard or on your premises. Why would you then keep guns at people? And he pointing the biggest gun in the world if it was a real gun. Like this, the way he's holding his hands is like, bro, what are we doing, bro? Why are we doing this? And what is this fascination with guns? Like, we already have enough issues with drug problem, not drugs, but gun control. But then on top of that, keep antagonizing the situation. That's like when Gilbert Arenas was getting suspended, and he in the huddle doing warm-ups with finger pistols. After you just they supposed to have suspended you for the guns. Now you got to go sit down. And I think from an optics standpoint and the way that things look, especially with the issues that we're having in America and within the Black community, we don't need the finger guns celebration. Find something else, even if it's like, at least do the gun to yourself, maybe, because Melo always did the 3 to the head. Like, that's not a direct shot at anybody else. It can be argued that it's not about someone else. It's more so like a self-celebration. Where if you point fingers at people's faces, like the NFL took it out, that is no longer a good celebration anymore. I feel like the optics of things is what people need to pay more attention to, and I don't think that we necessarily do until you get a certain level of maturity. And so Mike Malone fired, Calvin Booth fired, the GM. I think in the end, why were they fired? I got some context. Disagree, because I think that Mike Malone and what he was able to do while he was there, Calvin Booth did not hire Mike Malone. Mike Malone was there when Calvin Booth was brought in. So I feel like if you were going to go in a direction, they're not getting along. Calvin Booth wants Mike Malone to play younger players. Mike Malone has a good relationship with Russell Westbrook, wants to play with Westbrook. So he's playing the vet over the young player. The GM wants the young player to play over the vet. This is where I think that they messed up. I don't blame them for wanting to get rid of someone. I think in this situation when the GM is not on the same page with the coach, I feel like you got to make a decision here. I just feel like them just saying, fuck it, we getting rid of both of you motherfuckers is wild as hell. I think that Mike Malone being part of the rebuild to where the Nuggets are today, getting them to win a championship, and he was the mainstay the whole time. I feel like he's the culture builder for them. And I just feel like them getting rid of both of them is, I guess they just decided we need a hard reset on the culture and bring in 2 people that we know are on the same page and go from there. And we still have a lot of talent. They can come in, figure it out. But I do see big changes coming. We only got so much time with Jokic and his prime and what he's got left in the tank. So it's just wild. I do think that if the Grizzlies don't fire their coach, I don't think this happens right now. I do think eventually it would happen, but I do feel like the comfort that they felt that they're not going to get crazy backlash, given that there's I think playoffs start next week type thing. And so I do think in the end this doesn't happen without the Grizzlies getting fired. But like I mentioned before, y'all, I appreciate y'all for watching. I do got to get up out of here. Subscribe, like, comment, follow, all that good shit. Got an audio episode dropping in the morning. And I'm out of here, y'all.